Okay, welcome back. This is a update video, not intended to be a full video, but one never knows. Um, just to describe what we've got in our evolutionary process of broadcasting these games, what we are looking at here is, of course, our on the right bottom right side, our traditional over-the-table Microsoft LifeCam, and you can see the markers for the mechs, the abbreviated names, and such. Um, it does still say turn 4. We are moving into turn 5. As you can see, we have some pieces on the game table, which is the infantry and other vehicles that are now being introduced. They're not in position. That's just an inventory count as we continue to produce 3D printed miniatures at the same time that we're broadcasting these games. So you can see that, that as a convenience for us to as well. We have a webcam pointed at the 3D printer. And as we conduct these things, we're able to watch the printer's progress. Just so you know, we have moved back to our resin printer for the detail of the infantry, which is necessary. The filament printer was good for a time. It produced miniatures over time fairly nicely, but obviously the resin printer's quality is beyond the reach of filament printing. So we're using it now to reproduce the infantry as we go forward, but there's no rush. Top left-hand corner, we have the security cam running through our phone. So that is the Android phone running the application AnyDesk. And why is that? Because the Wyze camera, which is what the security camera is, it's from Wyze, WYZE, has an issue currently going on with their background architecture. They are submitting access codes so that one can view the web page, but the access codes are taking too long to arrive for the timeout of the login procedure. And I've notified them, and they said, yes, that is an issue, and we'll get to it, right? Which we've heard millions of times. So, because of AnyDesk or other applications for application sharing between platforms, we're running AnyDesk on the Android phone and on the PC, and opening up a browser window. We can then, top left-hand corner, you can see that is the AnyDesk browser window, which we've cropped to fit. And you can tell it's a security camera because of the fisheye lens effect, which we wish wasn't there. But I don't think the Wyze camera is able to replace easily the lens that's inside it. So we'll just leave that as it is. Of course, one might say, why don't you just use the Android phone as a camera? Well, that's totally true. Here's the issue. The Android phone is busy charging. And it's able to sit next to us and be charging at the same time that we're running the AnyDesk software. If I was going to use the Android phone as a camera, then I would have to move it over to the game table, whereupon the charging cable would have to be moved as well, and that's a big hassle for right now. Okay, so there you go. Bottom left-hand corner is our GoPro 4, using the HDMI cable, running physical cable, running up to the ceiling to the track lighting where it's been strapped using the Velcro straps, and then running to the back of the computer workstation, and then plugging into the computer. So bottom left, HDMI, GoPro 4, wired. Bottom right, USB, Microsoft LifeCam. Top left, Android using AnyDesk software, wireless, and application sharing. And then top right, of course, is our image capture of the image of the turn process. So that's where we're at, and I hope these things help anybody who's trying to do this stuff. I think it is. It continues to be very much worth the dig, if you will. The other well, the charging issue. Let's just jump back to that for a second. You can plug in the charge. You can plug in the phone or plug in the device, whatever it is, using an extension cord, and therefore charge the batteries of an item that way. And therefore, if it's, as long as it's plugged in, it'll always be on. All right, always have power. But in many cases, I don't want to have that extension cord running all over the floor to where I need it to be. For instance, the GoPro. So the GoPro right now is deriving its battery power from a battery bank, which is Velcro strapped to its stand. Okay, so the GoPro bottom left is on a stand, a clamp that's clamped to the table. You can just see, as a matter of fact, at the bottom of the screen, that's where the clamp is. So the battery bank is Velcro strapped to that flexible gooseneck stand, and is charging the batteries as we do this, or the batteries are draining as we do this. We'll see. We hope that it will be 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, and as we do this, it's both charging and spending energy. Hopefully charging faster than it's spending, so that at the end of this, it will have enough battery to go battery free. I should say battery bank free. Okay, so that's where we're at, and we have more to come, and hopefully as we work toward the turn 5, where we have some reinforcements arriving on this game test, I should say demo, because the testing phase is basically over. Everything seems to be working wonderfully. The manual, I should say, non-roster damage application for the mechs has been proven to work, and fantastic at that. As far as we remember, Hex Command mechanized, the damage to infantry and vehicles is marked on the table. There may be a testing period where we put the posts on vehicles and also on infantry stands to record damage. I'm not sure that's even worth it. It may not be worth it because essentially infantry will, as in the normal Hex Command series of rules, it'll take 2 hits, and on the 3rd hit it routes, and in most cases they may even be destroyed on the 3rd hit. So just like all the other Hex Command rules, 3rd hit routes, and there's no move hits. There's no well, there are combat hits, and if you want to look at it this way, there could be move hits, but the move hits are determined by the terrain effects indicators that are applied to the stand. And what does that mean? Every time an infantry, or in this case, a vehicle, encounters terrain, instead of slowing it down, we give it a terrain effects marker. And once those pile up enough, say, on the 3rd TE hit, or marker placed on the unit suffers a movement. And from then on, it suffers, as it continues to suffer TE, terrain effects hits, it suffers a move hit every time. So 3 hexagon moving infantry stand will move normally 3, but then 2, then 1, then it won't be able to move at all. So that's the example of how the progression goes. As far as combat goes, sure, combat hit -1, next combat hit -2, next combat hit -3. So they become basically useless after a period of time, which is as it should be, until their officers are present or other modifiers enable them to gain those combat hits or the combat bonuses. As they have combat penalties, they offset, and that'll be helpful to any infantry. And that's the same for all the rules, same thing. All right, we also have some artillery. You probably can't make it out. It's over on the left. We're doing, again, it's just the inventory, but those are the big guns that we 3D printed. We'll call them 105 millimeter howitzers because that's kind of what they look like. They look like German 105s. We also have, next to them, smaller versions of that, which makes them look like 75 or 70, well, probably 75 millimeter howitzers, but they're smaller. And anyway, the point is they're medium or heavy artillery is essentially what they are. And then, of course, the little tiny guns you can't see, but we'll focus on. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned it. Yes, top left-hand corner, you can see the artillery on the hills, and that's interesting. This is on the other side. I was thinking of the left, the big long ridge. There's artillery stacked up there for inventory reasons. But the opposing team on the right side of the table has artillery as well that's just being there for counting purposes. But that shows what they look like. Little tiny guns, probably, let's see, make sure that you can't really see them, but they're present. They're basically the equivalent of light anti-tank guns, so 50 millimeter. Something like that, like the German 50 millimeter, the American British Allied 57 millimeter, or the Russian 47 millimeter anti-tank guns. They're present as well and being assembled for introduction to the game. But we all know, as if you've played Hex Command Mechanized, what's going to happen here. As soon as the big things show up, the little things don't last very long, and that's as it should be. So, in order to conduct a proper demonstration, we're not going to have that many things enter that are going to wipe things out very quickly. We're going to, maybe stick with a lighter version in this demo so we can see how the infantry acts and how the artillery acts and how the ground vehicles act or behave. So as you can expect, it's a slogging kind of a thing when it comes to this mechanized gaming. Conflict. So, okay, that's it, and we'll come back with more when we get it all arranged, and hopefully as we head toward Christmas and New Year's 2023, we'll see some exciting stuff happen. And then, by the way, once this is all done, we pack it away and move on to something else, which would be a welcome relief. We've been doing this now for 2 years, or close to 2 years. And it's time, I think, to move on. We might get back into Hex Command Oceans, or we might even take a stab at Time Driver, which is our version of Car Wars, because some new developments have happened regarding how that game can actually operate. And just as a little heads up, it would be on a hexagon grid, believe it or not. Yes. So there we are.